दिशन्तु मे देव सदा त्वदीयाः दयातरङ्गा अनुचरा कटाक्षाः श्रोत्रेषु पुंसाम् अमृतं क्षरन्तीं सरस्वतीं संश्रितः कामधेनुम्. A very good morning to the gathering here. It is a pleasure to be back in this very respectable and revered campus of SASTRA. Though my very good friend Vaidya has not been here today, I am very, very thankful and grateful to him for giving me an opportunity to speak on this dais again. Interestingly, this event began with an invocation song titled Maitreem Bhajata. Can you tell me who is the composer of this song? The pontiff who's revered as Paramacharya, or often referred to as Kanchi Mahaperiyava, who was titled Chandrasekharendra Saraswati, is the composer of this song. And it is said that he had composed this for an eminent Carnatic musician to go and sing at the United Nations. There is one particular line which you might have heard. Damyata datta dayadvam janata shreyo bhuyat sakala jananam. Damyata datta dayadvam. Any idea of what this means? Damyata, datta and daya. தெரிஞ்சதை சொல்லுங்க. நீ எது சொன்னாலும் சரிமே. Guess. Damyata vandudonno அந்த பாட்டுல. Damyata datta dayadvam. Is there someone who can't understand Tamil here? Not able to comprehend or understand Tamil? Okay. 1, 2. Okay, fine. So I'll keep it in English itself. If needed, I may use 1 or 2 words of Tamil. But I'll make sure that the translation is the closest to what it actually meant. So, Damyata, Datta and Dayadvam. Interestingly, I don't know, I cannot say interestingly, it's you who has to decide whether it's interesting or not. I can just say that there is an anecdote in our Upanishads that 3 genres of people, they got together and assembled in the court of Brahma. Brahma is believed as the one who creates. He is absolutely a manufacturing person. He keeps manufacturing, and most of his manufacturing happens in India and China. So that's Brahma. And he's multi-headed. He's got many heads. And there's a belief that each of those tongues is meant to get decentralized of Vedic chanting. So if one person were to do the Vedic chanting for all 4 kinds of Vedas, it will be tough, right? There are some parts of engineering which come together. Probably a mass transfer operations and the heat transfer operations may be common to chemical and mechanical engineering. A thermodynamics could also be common. But there are certain courses which are compulsory disciplinary courses which come only for a certain engineering. Likewise, there are certain portions of Vedas which are common in all the 4, which is Rik, Yajuhu, Sama and Atharvanam. There are many portions which are barringly different. So one person doing all the 4 is tough. So it's believed that he's multi-headed so that each head can concentrate upon one format. So to Brahma, the closest of the person who could give the best judgment, he was the ancestor to Solomon Papaya in those days. So seeking judgment, these 3 genres of people, they went to the court of Brahma. The first category were the celestials, the devas. Divu Kridayam Dhatu. The root word for deva is divu. Divu means the one who loves to play. So those who love to play are called Devas. And they were one set of people. The celestials went. You know what are the unique characteristics of celestials? Have you heard of them? Indra, Agni, Vayu, and so on. Some unique characteristic about them? Try. What is so unique about Devas? Yeah? They won't? Absolutely right. So they won't wink. See, winking is to us most of the times involuntary. Right? Even I can try my level best not to wink for a minute. But after that, it's actually tough to hold my eyes from winking, and it will wink. I'm saying most of the times it is involuntary, because there are times where you can hold and there are times where you can wink many a time. Suppose the protagonist, the heroine or the hero gets to see the counterpart in the movie, she keeps winking like this. The flutters keep coming. So that's voluntary. So most of the times it's involuntary. And it's believed that Devas don't wink. Second, they say that the feet of the Devas don't touch the earth. The feet won't touch the earth. So, I think it was Vairamuthu who said, Bhumi Toda Pillayin Padam. Have you heard of this? So he says that the feet of the newborn child is so tender because it doesn't touch the feet. It's so pink and soft. Bhumi Toda Pillayin Padam. So these celestials, even if they would grow, they wouldn't touch the earth. And third, it's a belief, again, that if they would sport a garland, a natural flowering garland, the flowers will never fade. So these were the characteristics. Vada malarum, bhumitoda padangalum, vidikka imaigalum than devargalukku irukkakodiya sandrugal endru uraipor sandror. So these are the characteristics of Devas. So they were one set of people. The other set of people, we the humans. So all of that which was positive for Devas is negative for us. We have to wink. Our feet will surely touch the ground. Probably it may even form craters and go inside the ground. And all our flowers, even before they touch us, they will fade. Not even after touching us, even before. So we are nowhere close. The third set was another. They were very close to Devas. They were their own half-brothers called the Asuras. Sura. Incidentally, that's the name of a Tamil movie as well, right? So I don't know if that Sura has anything to do with this Sura. Sura is supposed to be that one who is very strong and capable. Asura doesn't mean he's not incapable, but he'll use his capability for all useless purposes. So that's an Asura. So it's unlike the adiabatic process in a Carnot engine, right? We read the 4 steps of a Carnot engine. Sadly, whatever little I've learnt in Pilani has never been in use to my life professionally. It's just getting into lectures. So I'll try my level best to as much intersperse and intertwine, even if it is irrelevant, of these technical words that I've managed to remember after years of oblivion. So here, we had the third set called the Asuras. And whenever we have to portray Asuras in our paintings or murals, we have 2 horns above them and 2 overgrown and odd-sized teeth coming out of their first jaw, upper jaw. And they will be very poorly looking as me. So that's how we have always featured Asuras. So all these 3 genres of people, they got together and they went to the court of Brahma. And they said, Brahma, we have heard from opinion surveys that you give some of the good judgments without any delay, because today delay is the norm of judgment. So now we have heard that you don't delay on your judgments. Judge us on something. Judge us on something and say something nice about us. Say some things that we need to improve. See, that's something very good on the part of Asuras and the Devas. They believed that they were in the zenith of perfection and they never wanted anything to improve. They at least took the first step to come to the court of Brahma. Brahma said, Devas, see, most of the things that I see in you is good. But the only thing is, you try to show off your wealth unnecessarily. Showing off your powers unnecessarily. This showing off comes in the form of entertainment. See, if you ever have seen one of those yesterday movies of KP Nagarajan or anybody else, Indra's court will be filled with a CID Shakuntala who will be dancing. So in those days, it was a belief that Indra was completely an entertainment man. He would do no job of his, and he will just let. When I used to tell this to my grandfather, he said I was also like that. So I asked, how were you like Indra? He said I was in a government job. So that's what my grandfather said. If you have to question him, you'll have to travel realms above. He's somewhere above. So probably you just have to trust me out of a gut feeling. So here we had the Devas who kept asking, what should we do? That's when Brahma said, keep your entertainment levels down. You know, you cannot have your adrenaline always high. Keep it down. Keep it down. Damyata. That means don't over entertain and be pompous about yourself. That is damyata. That was told to the Devas. Because that was what they lacked. Commonly heard anecdote, commonly cited example where I used to study. While we had campus interviews at Pilani, we had companies come in and we used to ask others, our seniors, oh, what questions did they ask and how should we behave? Who is this person? Is he a crackpot or is he normal? Whatever. You know, it's based on your fortune who comes to recruit you. So one interesting example that my senior cited was, it seems the company people had come and students had gone in, and one by one each of them was called. And one person had a very good CGPA. Do you follow the CGPA system here? So don't ask me how much I got. Okay. You must assume why I've landed up in doing Upanyasams. So here we had one student who was asked, see, you've got a very good CGPA and you've got a very good name. You know, it's a very cliched statement in English. Can you tell me your good name? I'm sure nobody would have even and inadvertently wanted to christen their children with a bad name. Right? So it has to be a name. And if you're talking to him, you can't just cite it as bad. So even if it's not so meaningful, you still have to say it's good. So these are all cliched statements that we see day in and day out in our life. And how many of you are students here? Oh, wonderful. So when you guys make a job for yourself and go to one of those big companies or what they call as body shops, you go to one of those companies, cliched statements like this will keep coming. You go to your canteen to have food in the afternoon, you get inside the elevator and some unknown person you'll see, he'll smile at you, you'll be forced to show that you're also a good human being and you want to smile back. And the next question he'll ask is, where do you live? Because I was faced with this question while I was in Bombay. I used to tell him that I am in Matunga. And incidentally, by all good or bad fortunes, I had to meet up with that person every day in the elevator in the same time because both of our digestive systems wanted food at the same time. So I used to meet him. The next day he would ask, oh, hello, where do you live? I said Matunga. The third day he asked, I said, I haven't changed my house. So cliched statements keep coming like this. Here, the person who was interviewing my senior asked, you've got such a good CGPA. And most things seem positive about you. Can you tell me some of your limitations? Things which are your weaknesses. Can you tell me some? My senior was kind of a perfectionist. He wanted to be as truthful as possible. He said, I have none. He probably didn't clear the interview. And he went and asked that person. I said, I have none. What's wrong in it? The other person said, this is your weakness. You getting it? So, citing that I have no weakness is my weakness. So here we had human beings who went to the court of Brahma and asked, what is our biggest weakness? Brahma said, you have resources with you, but it's your general mentality to never part with it. See, most cases in courts are fought by two brothers. One brother will be fighting for a 20,000 crore property. The other one would have said, I've got 19,500. Because the other one doesn't want to part, this one doesn't want to give. So most of these disputes happen because it's generally a feeling of human beings to never give. See, I'll tell you a common feeling that I feel. I'm no good. I'm the evilest of all. I go to the airport and I have a small bag. I have seats here. What I'll quietly do is I'll keep my luggage on the next seat. Why do I keep it? Not because I don't want to keep the luggage down. Because if there's another person coming, that person should assume that there is somebody coming here. I have such a good heart. Right? So the general mentality of a human being is to never give. So Brahma said, you human beings, the second category of people whom I see, should develop the habit of giving. Giving is datta. So to the devas, he said, damyata, keep your adrenaline down. Don't be so pompous. To the human beings, he said, give, datta. Then came the asuras. What would you do, asked Brahma, when in your leisure? You know, this is a common question that you'll be faced in an interview. What do you do in your leisure time? Well, a few years while I worked for an MNC in Bombay, I had to go and interview a few students in the colleges. They'll say, so we had some questions that the companies will say, just ask these questions. Don't ask all technical questions. So we had one question. So what do you do in your leisure time? Or what is your hobby? Watching movies, he'll say. So the first person who should never be given job is this person. Because watching movies can never be a hobby. It's a waste of time. So you want to waste your time usefully, then you have the right to watch a movie. But a hobby is something where you develop something in you by doing that. Probably you can say, I critically like to watch movies to develop a sense of being a director or being a critique, or this is how you say. You don't say watching movies. That's not a hobby as per the standards of interview. Don't ask me whether it's ethical. That's how we see in interviews. So Brahma asked these asuras, what do you do in your leisure time? They said, nothing. We hit and push. You know what it literally means? It's a translation from a Tamil line. It doesn't mean anything in English. In Tamil, it means a lot. Pottu thallu. See, in English, if you literally translate, it means nothing. You hit and you push. That's what it means, right? Pottu thallu. But in Tamil, it literally means you kill the other person. So this person said, I would like to kill the other person. So Brahma was all the more worried because he was the one who was sitting in front of the demons. So he said, see, there's something in you that you have to develop, which is mercy. Show mercy towards people. Dayadvam. So these three words which have been cited by Brahma in Upanishads is what Paramacharya has used. Damyata, datta, dayadvam, janata, shreyo bhuyat, sakala jananam. If all these three attributes come in a person, then most of this world will function peacefully. So with reverences to that great saint who could see beyond what faculty or senses can perceive, obeisances to that Paramacharya. Sixth sense in humans. Don't worry if I've just finished my introduction. I'll keep my lecture short and succinct and dedicate a lot of time for questions, if not for answers. So there could be as many number of questions. I don't know how useful or will there be any answers first of all. So let's get to see when that session comes in. Here, we need to understand from a general perspective what senses are. A single word in English could be deployed under various contexts. Each language has that. ஒவ்வொரு மொழிக்குமே ஒரு வார்த்தையை எந்தெந்த இடத்துல பயன்படுத்துறோங்கிறதுல இருக்கு. हिंदी बोलने वाले लोग हैं इधर? हिंदी समझने वाले हैं? अच्छा. कल मैं आया था. तो what's the meaning of कल? कल मैं आऊंगा. Tomorrow. See, the same word kal takes two different meanings, which is yesterday and tomorrow. But how? Based on the verb. Ayatha is past. So kal should mean yesterday. Aunga to ban jayega future tense. So it should be tomorrow. So the same word, same pronunciation can mean two different things. Now let's take the same pronunciation in English. For example, give me peace. What's the spelling of peace? P-E-A-C-E. Give me a piece. So what made you think that the spellings were different? What made that change? The letter, correct. The article A, because A is not a letter there, it's an article. It's an indefinite article. So you don't say give me a P-E-A-C-E. So peace is an abstract noun. So how will you put an indefinite article? So the same word, same pronunciation, but different spellings. Kal, same pronunciation, same spelling, different meanings. In Vedam, there are instances where you say ajaha. There are certain instances where you say ajaha. The sound varies, right? When you say ajaha, it means Brahma. Ajaha, it means goat. So the meanings to the words changes based on the sound as well. So we have such different contexts coming into picture. Now let's take the word demonstrate. In English, you deploy this word in two different ways. You say demonstrate and demonstrate. One word means the marches or the protests you take. They were holding such protests. So that is a demonstration. I show how to use the bottle. So that is demonstration. Same spelling. But the word varies. Likewise, the word sense in English could mean two largely different things. One is making sense. Are you making sense? That is one sense. The second is a faculty, where you try perceiving something that becomes sense, which is called indriyam in Sanskritam. So when we use these faculties or senses, what do we understand? Let's take, for example, our eyes. With eyes, what do we do? What is this, sir? We are studying high levels of engineering and law. You're asking basic questions. You know, at times, building stronger, basement weaker. It's very, very important to touch upon the foundation. I'm seriously telling you this. Why? Because I used to keep repenting a lot while I studied engineering. Had I probably understood the fundamentals of certain aspects of physics well, I would have appreciated aspects of my engineering much better. There are instances where you start repenting. Why did I study this in school? You know, probably I can sport on my sleeve. I got this rank, that rank, but I haven't understood the basics. So it's very, very important that we understand and try to converse with each other from the basics, which is eyes. Eyes are meant to see. Simple, correct? But you know, there was a great poet called Surdas. Have you heard of him? He was a part of the Bhakti movement. He could never see. He could never see. But yet, he reached the zenith of unadulterated devotion through his compositions, despite not having the faculty of seeing. Eyes are required for seeing, but he could reach the zenith of it. How many of you have heard of a small village, a hamlet called Yenkan? Engan kettirukala? Enga irukku? நம்ம திருவாரூர் பக்கத்தில் இங்கே அப்படியே கும்போணத்துலேருந்து கீழே போயிட்டே இருந்தேன்னா Yenkan ஒரு கிராமம் வரும். This hamlet is famous for the temple of Lord Kartikeya. You won't believe, it is said that the idol that you see in the temple, the deity that you see, has been carved by a person who was blind. Who was blind. Yenkan அப்படின்னு ஒரு கிராமம் இருக்கு. So we have had instances of Surdas in Yenkan that tells us that eyes are required for seeing, but they may not become mandatory to perceive. One. Second, you have got ears. కాదు, అది తెలుగులో ఉన్న కాదు కాదు. తెలుగులో ఒక శబ్దం ఉంది కదా, తెలుగు వారు ఉన్నారా ఇక్కడ? తెలుగులో కాదు అంటే ఏమి? కాదు in Tamil means కాదు. So see, two neighboring states, what different words. So when I started going to the north, whatever little knowledge of South Indian languages I had to measure and use every word. See, generally in the south of India, people ask, hey, eppadi irundhathu saapadu? Don't we say this? In Mexico, this is a sexual gesture and you'll be put inside the bars for saying this. So you have to be super careful in understanding the culture in every place. So we have got ears that can hear, Shravanam. So you keep listening or hearing or whatever case. You know, in Kambaramayanam, when Rama had to fight an ogress called Tataka, Kamban, the Tamil poet, describes how Rama fought. He says, Solluvakkum kadiyavega chudusaram kariyasemmal alluvakkum nirattinal mel vidudalum adu vairakundrin kalluvakkum nenjir tangadu appuram kalendru kalla pullarku nallor sonna porul ena poyittanre. He tells in Tamil. What he says is, when Rama shot the arrow from his bow, the arrow was so intense, strong, and apt enough that it could pierce the chest of Tataka and just not stop there. பொதுவா இங்க பியர்ஸ் ஆகி நம்ம படங்கள்லாம் இப்படியே நிற்கும். அப்புறம் பாகுபலி வந்த உடனே அந்த இவர் இப்படி எடுப்பார், அப்படிலாம் தானே பார்த்துருக்கோம். What happened? This arrow was unstoppable. It tore open her chest and went on the other side further. See, Rama's arrows don't have a drop point like the Ola cabs. Ola-லாம் drop point ன்னு கேட்பான் பாரு, அது போயிட்டே இருக்கும். So here Kamban tells, கல்லா புல்லர்க்கு நல்லோர் சொன்ன பொருள் என போயித்தன்றே. எப்படி போயிட்டே இருந்ததுன்னர். Imagine that the person you see in your life, in your campus, or generally wherever, is a man of not so good conduct. You want to see some improvement in that person. You call him and say, ஏன்பா இப்படிலாம் இருக்காதப்பா, be a good man, okay? Okay, got it? Yes, sir. At what speed he receives in this year and leaves it in the other year, kalla pullarku nallor sonna porul ena poyittanre. So years could be used for either listening or hearing. In management, there is absolutely a technical jargon. There is a difference between hearing and listening. Let's not get into that. So ears can help listen. But honestly, if ears can help listen, then this world will be a much better place. People just hear and they don't even contemplate on what is to be done. See, when there was such a big revolution in the country, when the Nirbhaya case happened, so much of furore, so much of chaos. If people had at least listened to an iota of what had happened to that girl, probably you wouldn't have seen a lakh number of rape cases after that. So people have ears, undoubtedly. That's what the anatomy states. But it's an absolute waste. But without ears, can you do? Probably yes. Thiruvalluvar may disagree. Selvathul selvam, sevichelvam, he states. But he was oblivious of the fact that the times to come will be much challenging. You had a great Ranbir Kapoor play the role in Barfi, right? Oh, Barfi tha na? It was such a good role. With no ears, he could convey his love. So ears are required, but of course, if they don't function well, probably there are people who do much better even without this sense. So you've started with eyes, and then you've come to ears. Then you go to nose. See, at times, most of you, is there a medical school here? Okay, so I can confidently say something now. So that's one of, see, whenever you have to speak a language, you have to ask if there's a person who's proficient in that. So if there's none, you can do whatever you want with that language. So I take a brut, the perfume, and I spray it all over my kurta. The first 2 minutes, I can actually smell the smell. But after 2-3 minutes, I can't smell. Why? Is my first, before giving answer, is my case correct? Have you felt this? Yeah. Why? adaptation. You know, when we were in Pilani, we had a subject called biological sciences. So we had to learn because it was an honors degree. The reason that was cited was there's a thin layer of epithelial cells in our nose. They try to perceive the smell in the first few seconds and minutes. After that, they die. The next set of cells that emerge or that are present, it is believed that they are so used to it that they can't smell it. So nose has the ability to smell, but it stops at a particular point. It stops. See, I'll give you a simple example. I don't consume non-vegetarian food. I have friends who consume non-vegetarian food. They don't have a problem in me not consuming non-vegetarian food. I don't have a problem in them consuming non-vegetarian food. We are friends. But you might have seen a lot of instances where to a vegetarian friend of yours, you say, இன்னைக்கு நான் கருவாட்டு குழம்பு கொண்டு வந்திருக்கேன். What will be the reaction of that person? Just tell me honestly. Tell me. Somebody has to at least demonstrate it for me now. What will the facial expression of that person be? எப்படி? He has just said the word கருவாடு. அப்போ எப்படி சார் அப்படி மோந்தெல்லாம் இவர் பார்த்து இப்படி பண்ணார்னா, this is where we need to understand that you don't have to nauseate or you don't have to feel a smell when that object is in front of you. Even with the thought, you can start nauseating. Correct? Haven't you felt this? Now, I've started with eyes, ears, and nose. I'm not getting to the other senses. This feeling of feeling something through one of your senses, when that object is not there, is what that gives rise to the sixth sense. புரியுறதா? அந்த வஸ்துவே இருக்கக்கூடாது. இப்போ ஏன் இருக்க கருவாடு இருக்கு, அது the smell is not good and I frown, that's natural. But without that object in front of me, I'm thinking of it and nauseating, is where my sixth sense starts working. So sixth sense is that which is not using one of the faculties outside. காது வெளியில இருக்கு, sixth sense அதுலேருந்து வராது. ஏன்னா காது, the ears can help only perceive hearing. Eyes are outside, they can help perceive only seeing. Nose is outside, that can help perceive only smelling. Tongue can be thrown outside. It is not always outside. காளி மாதிரி வெளியே இருக்காது, அது உள்ளேந்து வெளியில தள்ளலாம். You know, there is an interesting anecdote as to why the tongue alone is inside. See, 5 sensesல eyes are outside, ears are outside, nose is outside, skin is outside, but tongue alone is inside. Why, sir? Why are you doing this injustice to the tongue? It is believed that when Brahma was trying to create a prototype even before creating us, first he has to create a prototype, right? Where to keep the ears and where to keep the nose, whether we can keep 2 sets of noses, whether we can just stop with 1 ear, because anyways with 2 it doesn't do its job well. So why create an extra so he wanted to try a prototype with it. Sriman Vaidya was telling that you've got a 3D process also making. So you try to do some prototype, right? So he tried keeping the eyes outside, the ears outside, everything. But then when he kept the tongue outside, the tongue started creating a lot of problems. See, most in just 2 months' time, you open the newspaper or television channel, you see the amount of verbal diarrhea that happens in each and every person. Eyes ஒண்ணுமே பண்ணாது, காது ஒண்ணுமே பண்ணாது, skin ஒண்ணுமே பண்ணாது, இந்த நாக்கு இருக்கு பாருங்க. That is which is uncontrollable. So Brahma thought the most problematic of these senses is the tongue. So it's better that I keep it concealed and pushed it inside, is what an anecdote says. So we have all these senses operating, but there is a sixth sense. The sixth sense is what most of our scholars, maybe mystic saints have largely given concentration upon. There is no exact Tamil word or a Sanskrit word to the sixth sense. Probably sixth sense has to be understood in 4 stages. One is the very word thought, which is manas. எனக்கு மனசு இருக்கு சார், மனஸ். We tell, right? அஜித் வந்து இந்த படம் அது ஏதோ ஒன்றுல சொல்லியிருக்கேன். அஜித் ஏதோ ஒரு படத்தில் காதல் மன்னனா ஏதோ ஒன்று, மனசு இங்கே இருக்கு சார். See, this is heart. As far as whatever little I've learnt or seen or taught, it has got auricles, ventricles, aorta, right? It doesn't have any portion called manas. Taniya said, when the biology teacher is explaining, this is manas. And every hero, however logical he is, he'll say, manas irukku sir. Nobody says manas irukku sir. Manas irukku sir. இங்கே தான் அந்த ஹார்ட்டு தான் பாவம் இத்தினூண்டு, அது அடிப்படுற அடி யாரும் பண்ண மாட்டேன், இது மனசு இருக்கு சார். பட் இஃப் ஐ சே, சார் என் புத்தியால் தெரிஞ்சுன்னேன், வேர் வில் யூ ஹிட்? என் புத்தியால் தெரிஞ்சுன்னேன் சார், எங்கே? இங்கே. பட் த பியூட்டி இஸ் போத் த புத்தி அண்ட் மனஸ் ஆர் ஹியர். இட் இஸ் நாட் ஹியர். பட் வை டு வி கீப் them apart is, it is like those yesterday's in-laws problem. Mostly if the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law are kept together, they'll keep fighting in those days. Here they are miles apart. So, and probably one of the qualifications for a daughter-in-law to come is the non-existence of a mother-in-law. So, I wouldn't even venture there. Let's keep them apart, because the moment they are neighbors, they'll keep throwing bombs at each other. So we found a place for buddhi. But manas is the most emotional part. See, if the hero has to convey to the heroine his love, என் மனசு சொல்றதுன்னு தான் சொல்லுவேன், புத்தி சொல்றதுன்னு சொல்லவே மாட்டார். Because if it is the buddhi that tells, he wouldn't even get married. Right? So, thank you. Thanks for the such a pompous celebration. But it's the other side also. So the girl will also not get married to the boy. Okay? I know how to be non-controversial. So the emotional part of one's thinking is largely dominated by the manas. The logical part of one's thinking is monitored by the buddhi. As of now, let's assume that manas is thought and emotion. And let's assume, see, each of these English words have no bearing in Sanskrit, because we cannot get the right word. And for intellect, let's have the word buddhi. So manas and buddhi, when they operate at a certain equilibrium, there is a third factor that emerges, which is called aham. அகம்னா என்ன? அகம்னு ஒன்று இருக்கு, அது கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா? எது அகம்? ஏஜிஏஎம் கேள்விப்பட்டதில்லை? எது? வாட் இஸ் அகம்? Wonderful music band இருக்கு. They were all my seniors in Pilani. They formed a band called Agam. Have they performed here? No. கூட்டுருங்கோ, என்ன பண்ணுவா? அல்ல, அகம். Aham in Sanskrit means I. Aham sarvam karishyami. Aham is I. This I is what? That never sleeps. I never sleeps. Why? You sleep the entire night. அடிச்சு போட்ட மாதிரி ஒரு தூக்கம். Next morning you wake up at 7 a.m. You didn't even know when you slept, what happened. After about 8-9 hours you've got up. என்னப்பா நன்னா தூக்கமா? நான் நன்னா தூங்கினேன். You are aware that you have slept. But how are you aware நான் நன்னா தூங்கினேன்? When you are not aware of anything that has happened, what should you say? தூங்கினே. நான் நன்னா தூங்கினே means தூங்கினது ஏதோ, தூங்காதது நான். கரெக்டா? நான் நன்னா தூங்கினே. when you're putting that subject nan there, it means that nan alone hasn't slept. Because tungine itself should describe that you have slept along with that nan. Tungine is the body, nan alone did not sleep, which is I. This is the third stage. Puriliya? The puriyama irukkiradhu dhaan philosophy ke azhagu. See, if you had said we have understood, then I am a very bad speaker. Certain things are meant to be OHT, overhead transmission. Okay? Let philosophy remain in that department. The fourth stage is chittam. Chittam irangadadhenaya sendil velaya chittam. Chittam is the concoction of buddhi, manas, aham, which leads to that conducive environment to acquire knowledge, which is chaitanyam. People who are from Andhra will be very regular with this word, chaitanya. Correct? Chaitanya shabdam telusu kada? Chaitanya ante ee mooru shabdam undi kada? Buddhi, manas, paschat, aham. All this together would lead to chittam. So this chittam, when it comes into the picture where you don't use your five senses and use only your sixth sense, then you start seeing things which are beyond obvious. கண்ணுக்கு புலப்படாததெல்லாம் பொதுவா கண்ணுக்கு புலப்படாததெல்லாம் இந்த sixth sense இந்த சித்தத்தை அட்டைன் பண்ணும்போது you will start seeing. See, you have had various mystic saints who have done that. Now, the moment you ask me for proof, I will say there is no proof. Why? Because having no proof is the proof to have sixth sense. Proof இருக்கக்கூடாது. அதுதான் sixth sense-க்கு அழகு. The moment it starts getting patented or research paper, let's take 2000 respondents, how many saw the sixth sense na? If you conclude, then you have to come up with a seventh sense. அது என்னது சூர்யா அது ஏழாம் அறிவு இல்ல? ஏழாம் அறிவு தான் வரும். ஏன்னா the moment you prove the ஆறாம் அறிவு, then ஆறாம் அறிவு is a waste. See, why will people come up with the version 10 in iPhone? Because they think that the version 10 is better than version 9. Correct? So if you have to come up with the seventh sense, you should feel sixth sense is exhausted. When will you feel the sixth sense is exhausted? Only when you start seeing the proof for it. Proof paakada varikkum sixth sense alagu. So this is where sixth sense comes into picture. You must have heard of a great dynasty in our Indian history called the Vijayanagara Empire. That was largely one of the long-lasting dynasties. Chitra Madhavan, the other good speaker who will be talking to you with Daksh, she'll be coming the next month, I suppose. She's a very good speaker on history. So she'll be talking more about it. In Vijayanagara dynasty, it lasted for 400 years roughly. So it lasted between the 14th century and maybe 16th, 17th century roughly. So you know how this Vijayanagara was established? It's a very interesting anecdote. They state that one of the neighboring kings, he happened to go to the forest on hunting. In those days, hunting was given a certain license, even in certain states of the US. In certain states, anyone can take license to hunt. It still exists because there will be large number of deer population. The government will give license and say you shoot. Whether it's right or wrong, whether Menaka Gandhi fights for it or not is different. But those countries have approved. Only when you don't have a license is when you should never get caught up in Rajasthan and stay in Bombay. You have to be otherwise very careful. So this king went on a hunting spree. There he saw a hare which was being chased by 4 to 5 wild dogs. Wild dogs they were chasing. So what's the difference between a dog and a wild dog? I seriously don't have an answer. But every morning if I've got a flight at 3 a.m. and I get out of my house, the dogs which were behaving in a most cultured fashion till yesterday, they start looking at me with eyes as if I was the one who threw bomb at someone. And they'll start looking at me and come in a whole pack. So that's when you believe that the wildness has caught upon it. So this is my understanding of a wild dogs, because the closest forest I know is only the Gindi National Park. So I have not been to any other forest beyond that. So in those days there existed something called forests, and there existed animals inside the forest. So both are two important conditions for flora and fauna to exist. So this king went on a hunting spree. He saw the hare being chased by the wild dogs. At one point in time, the king continued. See, it was like watching one of those WhatsApp videos. You know, when you keep watching your WhatsApp videos, you won't know where to stop and when to stop. It's just an addiction. So he kept watching it. It was live telecast. So at one point in time, the hare stopped. It was an abrupt stop. The king stopped. So did the wild dogs. Now the hare looked backwards at the wild dogs and started chasing the wild dogs. Is it believable, sir? See, I would have said it's not believable. But you know, I received a WhatsApp video a few months back. Maybe you might have received. A tiny, puny, malnourished dog is trying to chase a lion away. Have you seen this video? Try searching in the YouTube. So it's a dog that's fighting a lion. So yes, there are creatures which are small in nature, less in power, that can still fight the mightiest of the might. So the hare started chasing the wild dogs, and the wild dogs started running. Had I been the king, what I would have done? I would have shot the video. I would have created a Facebook page. I would have linked my online account with it, because you know, in Facebook videos you can still have a video that's embedded on it, an advertisement, and I'll start making money. I can at least make $90 a month if there are about, say, 10,000 views. So this is how my business knowledge would have gone. You know what the king thought? The king thought, till the hare entered this place, the hare was being chased and the wild dogs were chasing the hare. Not a single wild dog, but a whole pack of wild dogs that were chasing the hare. But the moment it reached this territory, the hare developed a confidence and started chasing the dogs back. So this place has something to do with giving confidence even to the weakest of the weak. So let this place that gives power to the weakest of the weak become my capital. And so was Vijayanagara dynasty established. So the place was chosen because the king had a sixth sense that this place is bound to give some confidence to his people. Why should I go that far? You know which was the erstwhile capital of the Cholas? சோழர்களுக்கு எது தலைநகரம்? உறையூர், அப்புறம் ஒரு காலகட்டத்தில் தஞ்சாவூர், ஒரு காலகட்டத்தில் பட்டீஸ்வரம், ஒரு குறுகிய காலகட்டத்தில் கும்பகோணம். So they kept changing, but they were all in the same vicinity. உறையூர் அப்படிங்கிற ஊர் திருச்சி பக்கத்தில் இருக்கு. காவேரிக்கு இக்கரை ஸ்ரீரங்கம், அக்கரை உறையூர். You know what is the earlier name for உறையூர்? கேள்வி கேட்டே கொன்னுடுங்க சார், சீக்கிரம். It is called கோழியூர். கோழி ஊர் அப்புறம் தான் உறையூர்னாச்சு. கோழி ஊர். ஏன்னா again the legend states that a dog was chasing. These dogs are absolutely unemployed creatures in this earth. They keep chasing somebody or the other. So they were chasing the kori in that hamlet, and the kori kept running. At one point in time the kori developed, you know, you see these heroes in movies, suddenly they'll do this, their nerves will rise up, they'll get some unique power and they'll turn and hit the other person. So this kori developed a unique mystic power. It turned back and started chasing the dog. So the king, who was on a hunting spree, saw this place and thought, if a kori can fight so valorously with a dog, then this should be my capital. So it became Koriyur, which later became Urayur. So at every point in time in our history, we have had some person or the other using the faculty of the sixth sense to do something in his kingdom. That's very interesting. One such unique creation of understanding the sixth sense, which can in turn benefit us, is the Gayatri Mantram. Gayatri Mantram. Adu yaar sir Gayatri? You know, I don't know if it was 1970s or 80s. There was a movie in Tamil called Bhadrakali. Alla yaar nadicha? Huh? Bhadrakaliya? Shivakumar. Top point, correct. Shivakumar. அதில் ஒரு கண்ணன் ஒரு கை குழந்தைன்னு ஒரு பாட்டு உண்டு. காயத்ரி மந்திரத்தை அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவார். நான் தினமும் சொல்கிறேன் அப்படின்னு அவர் பாவம் சொல்கிறார். ஸோ வாட் இஸ் திஸ் காயத்ரி மந்திரம்? Can anybody describe what is the benefit of reciting Gayatri Mantram, or how have you developed yourself, or it has proven to be useless? You have to tell me something. Try it. ತಮಿಳ್ಲಿಯನ್ ಜೊಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ, ತೆಲುಗುಲೋ ಚಪ್ಪಂಡಿ, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳಿ, ಮಲಯಾಳಂ ಕೊರಚಾಣ ವರು, ಕೊರಚುದ ನನಗೆ ತಿಳಿಯೋ. Try it out. Tell me what is the meaning of Gayatri Mantram. Please, can you stand up? Wherever the owner of that voice is, without identifying the spiritual master, it helps one person who recites it. What is the meaning to Gayatri Mantra? Whom are we meditating upon? Gayatri Mantra they are meditate pandro. Shakti, Lakshmi and Saraswati. So we are worshipping 3 women deities. All the men will oppose now. Sir, ஒரு மேல் 3 பேர்ல ஒரு மைனாரிட்டில கூட ஒரு ஆள் இல்லையே சார். They are supposed to chant. See, she's got the point there. It is getting brightness or light from the sun. Okay. All of your answers are so positive. Let's understand from the 6th sense how to understand Gayatri Mantra. For this, you'll have to be very, very, or I wouldn't say highly, but decently concentrative of what I say. For this, we need to play a match. There are 4 people who are going to play this match, and there are 2 parameters. What are the 2 parameters? நீங்கள் வந்து MBA படிக்கிற ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் யாராவது இருக்கா இங்கே? MBA electives, MBA படிக்கணும்னு ஆசைப்படுறவா? ஐயோ எதுக்குமே ஆசை இருக்கு. Okay. See, in MBA, no, there's no harm. You can still survive as a human being without doing your MBA. So don't now start thinking. There's something called the BCG matrix. It's a matrix. Likewise, you create something called a SWOT analysis, which is also a matrix. Here you need to create a matrix of that sort. There are 4 people who are playing here. It's not 2 by 2, it's 4 by 2. And what are the 2 parameters? One parameter is the ability to concentrate on it. That's the first parameter. Second parameter, the fruit of concentrating on it, whether it is useful or not. இந்த 2 parameter புரிஞ்சுடுதா? தியானிப்பதற்கு சுலபமா, தியானித்ததால் கிடைக்கக்கூடிய பலன் லாபமா? புரிஞ்சுடுதா? இங்கிலீஷ் புரிஞ்சுடுது சார், தமிழ் தான் இப்போ தகராறா இருக்கு. So these 2 things. There are 4 things that are going to be playing this match. 1 is the Jivatma. You வந்துட்டார் சார் இவர் ஆத்மாக்கு மறுபடியும். We have no other go. Then only 6th sense will actually start manifesting. There's a Jivatma. Then there's a body, right? Seeable body. Then there is a Paramatma. When there is a Jivatma, when there is a Sujji, there has to be a Bajji. When there is a Jivatma, there has to be a Paramatma. So there is a Paramatma. And if there is a Paramatma, Atma cannot loiter. It needs a body. So there is a body to the Paramatma. So there is a Jivatma. There is a body to the Jivatma. There is a Paramatma. And there is a body to the Paramatma. And what are the 2 parameters? One parameter is whether it is easily or whether it is easy to meditate upon. Second parameter is the fruit that is received upon meditating it, whether it is useful or not. Correct? If there is anything positive, there is 1 point. Nothing useful, 0. Correct? We are going to play with binaries now. Let's start with Jivatma, or Jivatma. Last year around the same time, maybe February 23rd or something, I spoke here. And on Jivatma when I spoke, these were topics that we dealt. I don't know if the audience has completely changed or I have to repeat the portions again. See, in textbooks they will give a very nice line, as discussed in the previous chapters. அப்படின்னு கொடுத்துருவா. நான் அப்படி சொல்லவே முடியாது. போன வருஷம் கேட்டதை நீங்கள் ஞாபகத்தில் கொள்ளவும், நாங்கள் கேட்டிருந்தால் தானே. There is a what is the meaning of கேட்டிருந்தால்? கேட்டிருந்தால்னா கேட்டிருக்கேன்னு அர்த்தம் இல்லை, கேட்டு அதன்படி இருந்தால், கேட்டு இருந்தால். Right? So, let's assume that there's a Jivatma. What is Jivatma? High scholars. See, probably you have to go to the level of Sadguru. I am no match. Such great scholars will say, Jivatma is a small sentient being which cannot be crushed. ஜீவாத்மாவெல்லாம் போட்டு இப்படிலாம் பண்ண முடியாது. ஹாரி பாட்டரில் வந்து வால்டிமார்ட்டோட ஜீவாத்மாவை 7 துண்டா பிரித்து 7 ஹார்க்ரக்ஸஸ் வேர் கிரியேட்டட், ரைட்? பட் டெக்னிக்கலி ஜீவாத்மா cannot be split. அவிகாராய சுத்தாய நித்யாய. It is eternal, you cannot break it, it cannot crush it, it won't feel the hunger, it won't feel thirsty. It is one effervescent, ever glowing, effulgent light, always glowing. It is very small in nature, microscopic or even nanoscopic. Micro is 10 power minus 3, correct? Or minus 6, minus 6. What is nano? Minus 9. What is femto? Minus 12. Atto? Minus 15. So it is atto. It is attoscopic, not even microscopic. So this Jivatma is the first object. Is it easy to meditate on the Jivatma? No, it is very tough. What will we meditate? Just keep. So in the lectures they'll say, now close your eyes. They will switch off the lights first. There will be one small wax candle here at the end, and there will be one gym body Buddha there. So close your eyes and meditate on your Jivatma. நம்ம எல்லாம் தலையை ஆடிட்டு என்ன தியானம் பண்றது? ஒன்றும் தியானம் பண்ண முடியாது. Half an hour later that person will slowly open your eyes. Did you meditate? We'll slowly look to what others are saying. The other person will say, wonderful sir. Yes sir, I will. Probably for such courses you have to pay 1,000 rupees outside. This is a free lecture. See, anything given in free in India is useless. Even a useless thing you pay and you attend, it will be very important. So here, is it easy to meditate on the Jivatma? No. Simple answer is no. So what is the point for that 0? What is the fruit of meditating upon the Jivatma? Nothing. In scriptures they say there is a knowledge called Kaivalyam. Kaivalyam in Sanskrit is the knowledge that comes out of meditating upon Jivatma. First you have to meditate, which itself is 0. We can't. If at all we meditate, then the fruit you get is called Kaivalyam. Kaivalyam, the root word is Kevala. Enna sir, Kevalama irukke sir? In Tamil, Kevalam means waste. In Sanskritam, Kevalam means one. So Kevalam. So not great. So total points for Jivatma is 0, 0. Right? It is the score of Virat if he keeps looking at Anushka in the corporate box. 0, 0. Next, we have to look at the body of Jivatma. This is our body. If I meditate upon my body, nothing to meditate. But probably in 1970s, my grandfather used to tell about Hema Malini. Right? You meditate on somebody's body, or to the women they may be meditating upon Salman Khan or whoever it is. Salman Khan is now 53. Okay, somebody younger. So, it is easy to meditate, correct? Do you agree it is easy to meditate? Easy. So, 1 point. What is the fruit upon meditating that? 0. You meditate on Hema Malini and sit in the exam. 0. There is no. So it is unlike Jivatma. Jivatma 0, 0. Jivatma's body is 1, 0. You can meditate easily, but the fruit is 0. Let's go to Paramatma now. How is Paramatma? Same as Jivatma. He cannot be crushed, he doesn't feel the thirst, he doesn't drink. All that is fine. But the difference between Jivatma and Paramatma is Jivatma is atomic. It is only here. My Jivatma cannot be inside somebody else. In those days we used to read of fables where the demon's Atma will be inside a parrot. The parrot will be inside the cage. The cage will be in the cave, and the cave will be in an island. So the hero will take one boat, fight all the odds, go to that island, go to that cave, take that cage, take that parrot. When he crushes that, that demon will die. All this is not possible because my Jivatma I cannot keep in somebody else's deposit. Correct? So my Jivatma is inside me, your Jivatma is inside you. But Paramatma is that one who is seen everywhere. So that's the biggest difference. So Jivatma is atomic, whereas he is pervading everywhere. Is it easy to meditate upon him? Atomic size itself I am not able to meditate. How can I imagine somebody being present everywhere? That is beyond comprehension. So Paramatma's meditation is zero. What is the fruit of meditating on Paramatma? Maybe you will get moksham, you are never born again. What is moksham, sir? Moksham na enna? நீங்கள் இப்போ லெக்சரை முடிக்கிறீங்களோ அதுதான் மோட்சம். கொடுத்த டைம்குள்ளே முடித்தாலே மோட்சம். வாட் இஸ் மோட்சம் ஆர் மோக்ஷ்? See, in the South Indian tradition we add yim for everything, and in the North Indian tradition they will chop off the last letter for everything. So we have to be very unequivocal. We have to support both North and the South. So how will you recite Shantakaram in South of India? Shantakaram, Bhujagashayanam, Padmanabham, Suresham. If I go to Delhi and give a lecture, how will I recite Shantakar, Bhujagashayan, Padmanabh, Suresh, Vishwadhar, Gagan Sadish, Meghvan, Shubham? Who will add that yim? The listener has to add. Okay. You have to keep on adding yim. That is your home assignment. Here, is it, now coming to Paramatma, I was asked moksham. What is moksham? சொல்லணும். இப்படியே உட்கார்ந்துட்டு இருந்தா எப்படி? Getting out of the cycle of birth and death. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. It's a belief. See, now you should not ask, have you seen Jivatma? It is a belief. The sixth sense says there is a Jivatma, that's all. What is the cycle of birth and death? See, all of us were born. We don't even remember what happened in the first 3-4 years of our childhood. People say we were intelligent. Every mother will say, நீ குழந்தையா இருக்கும்போது எப்படி இருந்த தெரியுமா? Either we have to believe her or she is exaggerating, in whichever case. After the 4th and the 5th year, they will start teaching us about one absolutely dullard and a loser in his life called Humpty Dumpty. This Humpty Dumpty was such a loser and a dullard that he had no other job but to go and sit on a wall. With his size, if he sits, he will fall and the wall will break. Humpty Dumpty sollu. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Avan விழுந்ததில் இந்த குழந்தைக்கு ஒரே சந்தோஷம். விழுந்துட்டார் சார். Then there were another set of brother and sister. I don't know whether, I think they are brothers and sisters or a boyfriend and a girlfriend. Jack and Jill. Brother, sister, அதுவும் தெரியல பாருங்க, ஒரே குழப்பம் அந்த நர்சரி ரைம். So Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. These people who were not careful of bringing down, they tumbled and they fell. See, all our nursery rhymes are full of losers. Anyone have they been successful? Baba Black Sheep, he had some wool. If he had the business mind, he should have sold all that wool and put that in his fixed deposit or RBI bond. He should be giving it to 3 sets of people, tells a nursery rhyme. And Britishers have said this. Had they been so magnanimous, they would have left all the property that they had got in India here. And they took it all away and they want the sheep to give the wool. Anyways, we have been reading all these nursery rhymes for no lame or reason. We kept reading. Then came the other set of dynasties, Chandragupta Maurya, Bimbisara, Babur, Humayun. Humayun put his father in his prison. Humayun's put Humayun in the prison. Humayun's grandson put Humayun's son in the prison. Write 1,000-letter essay about it. 10-mark question in history. இவர் அப்பாவை ஜெயிலில் தூக்கி போட்டார், அதை பற்றி பெருசாக எழுதணும் ஹுமாயூன். I'm not trying to degrade any of these stories. All that I'm trying to say, See, at some point in time, it could be useful. If I go and start before the Qutub Minar in Delhi, they'll say it was started by Qutbuddin Aibak and completed by Iltutmish. Very good. So what? One person couldn't complete his project. He has given the other person the project. That person completed that project. So this is how we have been reading in our... I'm not talking only about history. Come to science and maths. So many things that we have learned even without understanding what we are learning that for. This is how our system has been. Then we finally end up doing a job which is not at all remotely related to what we have studied. Not even remotely. See, the people ask, so, sir, you keep commenting about others. You studied engineering and today you're talking about Ramayana and philosophy. What made you a philosopher? I said, engineering made me a philosopher. So, unrelated things. I'm not poking fun at anybody. I'm just telling you what is the reality of life. My grandfather was a physics graduate. What was he doing? He was a cashier in the bank. Correct? To be a cashier, why should you study physics? You might say he had 3 daughters. My grandfather had 3 daughters, so out of family compulsion, he had to join a job. Who asked him to have 3 daughters? He should have stopped production with 1. Correct? So you can't blame your instincts for going to a job which is not related to you. So this is life. And finally we end up having children and then we have grandchildren and we keep teaching the same thing. Imagine you have undergone Humpty Dumpty. You have to teach your children Humpty Dumpty. That Humpty Dumpty will never change for generations together. You have to teach your grandchildren and then you're dead. Imagine the Jivatma gets out of that body. Let's imagine there is something called Jivatma. Now don't ask me where is the proof. There is a Jivatma that is getting out of that Pancha Bhautika Shariram. This Jivatma cannot function on its own. It has to go to another body. Where will it go? It will go to Nungambakam. In some house, one lady who's 8 months pregnant will be undergoing the Seemantanotsavam and there it will go inside that body and the child is born. What is it taught? The same Humpty Dumpty. This is what is Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. So the beautiful process of exiting out of it is called Moksham. Correct? Now, which is the way that will grant Moksham? If you meditate upon Paramatma, it is not easy, so 0. But if you meditate, if at all you meditate upon Paramatma, the fruit that you are going to get is Moksham, so 1 point. For Jivatma, it is 0, 0. For Jivatma's body, it is 1, 0. For Paramatma, it is 0, 1. Now coming to Paramatma's body. Correct? 4th parameter. So Paramatma meditating is tough, but meditating on the Paramatma's body, that is, he is the one who has got lotus-like eyes, sesame flower-like nose, coral-like lips, a green-hued body, a beautiful lightning that encroaches his chest. He has got, these are all descriptions that come. Whether you believe or disbelieve is another aspect. So this description is easy to imagine. Pachai malai pol meni, pavalavai, kamalachengan, acchuta, amararere, ayartham kolunde, yennum ichuvaitha virayan po. You are able to imagine. So, the ability to meditate on Paramatma's body is easy. 1. What is the fruit of meditating upon Paramatma's body? You will get moksham again, which is 1. So 1, 1, the only one that has received 1, 1 is Paramatma's body. Where do we see Paramatma's body? The closest that you can perceive is the sun. So if you meditate upon the sun as Paramatma's body, because nobody can stop the sun from rising. Nobody can stop the sun from setting. Sir, nillena sir ninnu poidu sir. Photoshop la da nikkum. Panna apdi nikkum. Illatalla nikkad. So, the moment I see something which is beyond our control, Swami Chinmayananda would state, he had his own style of speaking, he used to state. We all come up with this line, hey, இந்த வருஷம் ரொம்ப சூடு இல்லை, எக்கச்சக்க சூடு, ஐயோ இவ்வளோ பார்த்ததே கிடையாது இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சூடு, இதே லைன் அடுத்த வருஷம். See, well, I used to study in school. My mother wanted, being a typical middle class mother, she always wanted to motivate me, and she had her own way of motivation. You know what she used to state? Motivate na eppadi paranum? Nanna padi, unnala mudiyum thambi ipdi illa sollano. She used to state, போன வருஷம் படிச்ச மாதிரி நீ இந்த வருஷம் படிக்கல. Have you heard of this statement? கேட்டிருக்கீங்களா? நீங்களாம் ரொம்ப நல்லா படிப்பேள் போல இருக்கு, அதனால உங்களுக்கு சொல்லணுங்கிறது. எங்கள் அம்மா சொல்லிகிட்டே இருப்பா வருஷம், போன வருஷம் படித்தா மாதிரி நீ இந்த வருஷம் படிக்கல. அப்படி குறைஞ்சிட்டோம் போல இருக்குன்னு நான் நினச்சிப்பேன். அடுத்த கிளாஸ் போவேன், போன வருஷம் படித்தா மாதிரி நீ இந்த வருஷம் படிக்கல. இது கேட்டு 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 ஐ யூஸ் டு ஃபீல் ஐ எம் கோயிங் இன் த ரிவர்ஸ் ஆன் த எக்ஸ்போனென்ஷியல் கர்வ். திருப்பி ஜீரோ தொட்டுடுவோமோன்னு பயமாக இருக்கும், அந்த அளவுக்கு மோசமாக சொல்லுவா. திஸ் வாஸ் ஹர் பாசிட்டிவ் வே ஆஃப் மோட்டிவேட்டிங் மீ. ஸோ we keep telling sun is shining bright, it is doing its job. Can I prevent the sun? Nothing. சூரியன் உதிக்குமா, சூரியன் உதயமாகுமா, உதய சூரியனான்லாம் கேட்டால் எனக்கு தெரியாது. So we don't know what is going to happen, but when it is beyond our control, then you keep meditating upon it. That is Gayatri Mantram. So Gayatri Mantram in itself is a beautiful product of the thinking of human beings through the sixth sense. You meditate upon something which is easily meditatable. You meditate upon something that will give you a fruit that is beneficial. What is the fruit? I'll tell you a simple thing. I had gone to the west coast of the US for lectures, east and the west. And in the US, the coasts are apart. They own both the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. That's huge. That huge is the US. So I went to the west coast, and there you've got the state called the Washington State. Washington State is different from Washington DC. So in Washington State, one of the prominent cities is Seattle. So I went there for lectures. The moment I entered into my host's house, you know what that person gave? They gave me food, which is understandable. That's what most humans eat, and I also eat. So they gave me food. Next to food, they kept one dabba full of vitamin D capsules. I was wondering at them, why vitamin D? They said, see, we are at a place, strategically at a place where sun's rays don't shine on us very brightly. Because of this lack of that angle to the sun's rays, we are not able to manufacture or generate vitamin D which will be far sufficient for us. So it is very, very important that you consume this vitamin D tablet. What if I don't consume? You will undergo depression. See, if your vitamin D levels are very low, then you will undergo depression. Till about a certain period of time, I thought depression occurs only in the Bay of Bengal. There used to be eternally a meteorological person while I existed called Mr. Ramanan. கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா ரமணன்? அவர் தான் எனக்கு பிறந்தத்திலே அவரே சொல்லி தான் நான் கேள்வி. குழந்தை எழுத்த தாழ்வு மண்டலம் தமிழகத்தில் இதோ புயல் வந்து விட்டது, எல்லாம் நாங்கள் கொடை கிடையெல்லாம் வீட்டுக்குள்ளேயே வச்சு ரெடியாக உட்காந்துட்டு இருப்போம். அது ஆந்திரா வழியாக போய்விட்டது. So he used to state that depression has formed in Bay of Bengal. This was what I believed in. Until a few years, then I realized that depression also comes to human beings. You must have seen even Deepika Padukone said, correct? Deepika சொன்னால, I underwent depression. Only after Ranveer came, that went away. Ranveer இருந்த வரைக்கும் ஒரே depression தான். Ranveer வந்தோன்னு அது போயிடுதான். So depression also comes to human beings, but medically it will come into a person if there is low level of vitamin D. So sunlight can actually affect our mental balance. Our mental balance, don't think it's a simple thing. We think if we sit in an AC hall, we can enjoy comforts, which is fine, which is good. But we believe that we can do away without the sun, which is absolutely wrong. Sun is the Pratyaksha Parabrahmam. So, to reach that Parabrahmam over the sixth sense, humans have deployed Gayatri Mantram. So, Gayatri Mantram is an essential, beautiful product of our sixth sense. So, all our Acharyas, all our Alvars, all our Nayanmars, even Sufi saints, they were all so much into contemplating and conceiving things around them and deploying the sixth sense to get and make a better, peaceful living for ourselves. So the sixth sense could be applicable in the automotive industry, automobile industry, how to deploy that, how the sixth sense prevailed in Indian arts and architecture. So there are various topics. What we have seen is a little tiny bit on what sixth sense in philosophy means and how have we perceived, whether it's believable or not, whether it is trustable or not, whether it is provable or not, whether should I follow that or not, is not something that I would like to decide. As much as we are a democratic country, Sanatana Dharma is 100 times more democratic than the country. Sanatana Dharma believes if you believe in it, follow, else don't. So as simple as that. Now, we would like to open the session for questions. So feel free to ask questions. One, at the commencement, I have given a disclaimer, a diligent and a very humble disclaimer that you can pose questions. I will try understanding those questions, and whatever little I can comment or answer upon those questions, I'll surely do. If I don't know, I will say I don't know. You have the full liberty to assume that this is a useless speaker. You have the ability to do so. So you have got the complete freedom to think even before asking the question and even after getting the answer. So, but now it's open to questions. Let your question be short, succinct, comprehensible in any language. Englishல தான் கேட்கணுங்கிறது இல்லை, தமிழ்லையும் கேட்கலாம், ஹிந்திலையும் கேட்கலாம். நீங்கள் என்ன மொழியில் கேட்கணுமோ கேளுங்கோ. அப்படி புரியலைன்னா யாராச்சும் டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். Questions? Why have they switched off the lights? Maybe that's an indication to end my lecture. But let me not take it that way. This is to give that meditation effect. இதெல்லாம் லைட் எல்லாம் குறைச்சாதான் பெரிய மெடிடேஷன் ஆகிடும். அப்படியே ஃபுல்லாக லைட்டை போட்டுவிட்டா மைக்கோட பாவம் ரெடியாக நின்றுட்டுருக்காரு. Questions? So there's a question here.
Hi sir.
Hello.
This is Yashwant. How can one control their feelings and emotions?
Thanks so much. While I spoke about the senses, I spoke about the 5 senses there. You remember the eyes, the nose, the ears, the tongue and so on. There are another set of 5 senses which are called Indriyam, called Karmendriyam, which is Vak, the faculty of speaking. Tongue is just for tasting. The entire mouth is for speaking, Vak. Then you've got Pani, which is your hands. Then you've got Payu, Upastham. All these are all one is your anus, and then you've got your genitals, and then you've got your legs. These are all meant for some form of an activity or the other. So be it the Karmendriyam or Jnanendriyam, the first 5 or the next 5, whichever kind of senses, to some extent they can be controlled. Beyond a certain extent they cannot be controlled. See, for example, when there is no masala vada that is being made, the moment somebody tells masala vada, then I can smell it. Nobody is making it. This is one extent. அதாவது மசால் வடை பண்ணாத இடத்துல மசால் வடைன்னு சொன்ன உடனே எனக்கு மசால் வடை வாசனை வருது. This is one level. The other level, மசால் வடை பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கா, ஆனா அந்த மசால் வடையுடைய வாசனை என்னை அஃபெக்ட் பண்ணக்கூடாது. இது ரெண்டாவது லெவல். நான் சொல்றது புரியுறதா? ரெண்டுமே is tough. When they are actually making masala vada, somebody is asking, can you smell it? No, I can't smell it. No, I can't smell it. Just by saying it, I cannot win the debate. I should not actually smell it if I have control over my nose. But that's not possible. The moment somebody, in my childhood I remember, from Bangalore to Chennai where I used to come and train, there used to be a place called Ambur. Ambur தெரியுமா? அங்கே leather factory நிறைய இருக்கும். So there used to be a unique smell that used to come. Once my grandmother bought ice cream for me. While we were crossing that place, I thought the smell was actually coming from the ice cream. For years together, I didn't give even 1 rupee to any of these ice cream companies. I stopped eating ice creams. So the moment somebody would say ice cream, I used to be reminded of that smell. So the point is, most of our senses can be controlled to a certain extent, and beyond a certain extent cannot be controlled. Why? Because we are not taking efforts to control them. See, இப்போ நான் வந்து நாம் நம் இந்திரியங்களை கட்டுக்கோப்பில் வைக்க வேண்டும். புரிகிறதா? எல்லாரும் ஓ புரியுறது. என்ன நீங்கள் கேளுங்க, கட்டுக்கோப்பில் வச்சிருக்கா? இல்லைன்னு நான். See, there is a difference between knowing and realizing. I am speaking what all I have known. I am not speaking what I have realized, because the moment you realize, you will never speak. Until I am speaking, it means that I am nowhere close to the hour of realization. I am speaking what I know. Theoretical knowledge தான் எனக்கு இருக்கு, practical knowledge இல்லை. So there have been great experts in our country. When I say experts, like Ramana Maharishi and so on, who were able to control their senses and who performed a lot of severe meditation techniques that they could control. It's at a very different level. I'm not saying none of us can reach it, but it takes a lot of efforts. By being in the mundane life, I want to reach the zenith of spirituality is tough. It's not impossible, but it needs a lot of efforts like meditation, using yoga. What is yoga? That's our number. Baba Rakare, Ramdev. See, what we do in yoga is just physical exercises, which is wrong. Yoga is at a very different level as per Shastram. Yamam, Niyamam, Asanam, Pranayamam, Pratyaharanam, Dharana, Dhyanam, Samadhi. It goes at 8-stage process. It is called Ashtanga Yogam. At every stage, you should be able to control your senses, withdraw your senses. See, in those days, you might have seen movies. In Vishwamitra's story, Vishwamitra will be meditating, Menaka will come and dance. There will be a huge song in the background, Ilayaraja's music. Everybody will wake up in the theater except Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra alone will be in penance. So in that 5-minute song, 4 minutes, 50 seconds, he was able to manage. The last 10 seconds is when he was not able to control. He opened his eyes, produced one girl child called Shakuntala, got her married to Dushyanta. So, the last 10 seconds out of the 5 minutes is enough to go out of control. So, this is what we see. So, it is controllable, but it needs lot of efforts. But the good thing is, at least I am speaking and at least you're listening. Whether we realize it or not, whether we follow it or not, let's park it in a different stage. But at least today we have the patience to listen and know that there is something called the ability to control one's urges and feelings. So this is one aspect. Any other question?
Sir, you said Gayatri Mantra is the best product for optimizing your sixth sense. Perhaps it is practiced by a certain sect of people or group of people. What is the product you have to offer for people who don't believe in Gayatri Mantra, and whether any other solutions for optimizing your sixth sense?
Now, if I have to restate what Sir has asked, you say that there is a universal solution out of sixth sense called Gayatri Mantra, which is beneficial to all. Gayatri Mantram is not beneficial only to people living in Tanjavur. It is beneficial even to a person living in Scotland. Correct? So if it is universally beneficial, then we may expect everybody to recite. But there are people in India itself who may not believe in it. So if you are saying it's beneficial, will it be beneficial to those people who don't recite? Correct? The question is understandable? Yeah. While the mother is carrying her child, just in the first few months of her gestation, the first trimester, the gynecologist may administer certain vaccines to the mother. But is it beneficial only for the mother? No. Tomorrow it may benefit even the child. Likewise, when she delivers and she starts feeding her born child with her milk, the mother to the child will be given the best of nutritious food. Why? We believe that will percolate to the child as well. When I recite Gayatri Mantra, it doesn't mean that I alone will be benefited. The mantram itself is so universal that whoever recites it is reciting for the universal benefit. So even to the person who doesn't believe in it, inadvertently he is a beneficiary of that. Sir, is it right, sir? One person is taking all the efforts to meditate and recite, but the fruit is going to the person who doesn't believe in it. How is it possible? That is called magnanimity. That is called magnanimity. That is how religion should be. It should not say that only if you follow this I will do that. No, even if you don't believe, you will be in good welfare. That is what a religion is supposed to do. And we don't have to even think twice whether to the person who disbelieves this will benefit or not, it will benefit. So, this is very universal in nature and very unbiased in nature. Any other question? She has a question, she has a question. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Cover all aspects. What? Because cover all the aspects. Okay. Do you like this from your college? Like from the beginning, whatever you learn this.
Okay. So, probably I couldn't hear your question properly. Can you do it without the mic? Try it. Yeah. Okay. I want to answer that question, but I couldn't still hear the question completely. Can somebody come and tell me what the question is?
She's asking if you start learning about your lectures after you complete your graduation, or have you started learning right from childhood?
See, the content of my lectures, probably I wouldn't say wish to be a speaker. I never thought I'll be a speaker. Till about 4 years, I was attending classes for giving my GMAT and wanted to do my MBA abroad. So, till about 2 years, I was working for an IT firm. So, this was a fortunate accident, so, of being a public speaker. Of course, probably from my childhood, I've been a public speaker. I used to participate in those amateur competitions like Science is a Boon or a Bane. I'll give you 5 minutes, you have to talk. Science is a boon. I started that way. And so I had to time out my speeches, and I was taken to a lot of lectures by my grandparents. They used to listen to a lot of lectures. So I've been listening to a lot of lectures sans discrimination. So I've been to a lot of churches to listen to sermons. I've been to 1 or 2 gurudwaras to listen. So with no discrimination, I've listened to so many lectures. So probably that's given me some inspiration to be a speaker. Otherwise, the content of my lectures, it's just learning from some of my gurus and then reading quite a few books, and then, yeah, probably something like this. Yeah, there are 2 people who are raising hands.
Sir, I just wanted to ask you, now you spoke about sixth sense.
Ah.
I just wanted to know that point. Gut feel, or sense, a hunch. Now, how are these different from the sixth sense? Are these special skills which can be acquired?
Okay. Most of these words that Sir has cited, like gut feeling and so on, if you refer to the Google, probably it will say the sixth sense has to do something with it. Coming from a Sanatana Dharma perspective, this word gut feeling may not come close to sixth sense, because sixth sense is applicable only when you use your chitta, which is you have to cross manas, buddhi, aham, and then you have to reach chitta. Whereas a gut feeling is a feeling. So that's a gut feeling. So that cannot translate to a sixth sense. Sixth sense is where you start applying your chitta. When I say chitta, your attributive knowledge. For example, I told you that at most points in our time, that aham, I அப்படின்னு ஒன்று தேஞ்சு போன டேப் ரெக்கார்டர் மாதிரி இந்த ஜீவாத்மா சொல்லிகிட்டே இருக்கும். Whether you want to say it or not, it will keep telling. But there is an attributive knowledge. What is attributive knowledge? இப்போ நான் மைக்கை பார்க்குறேன். ஏற்கனவே எனக்கு சின்ன வயசில் மைக்குன்னா என்னன்னு கற்றுக் கொடுத்துருக்கா. இப்போ நான் மைக்கை பார்க்குறேன். மைக்கை பார்த்த உடனே என் கண் என்ன பண்ணோம், அப்படியே அதை அப்சார்ப் பண்ணி ஒரு ஃபோட்டோ எடுத்துக்கும். ஃபோட்டோ எடுத்து என் பிரெயினுக்கு அனுப்போம். My brain will go to its archives. It will open and it will spot the photo. See, it's all a beautiful process. See, when you put your photo on Facebook, there in a few seconds you will see you want to tag yourself on that photo. Correct? So there is a program that matches your features and shows it. Likewise, your brain will come up with a photo of a mic and say, Dushyanth, what your eye has seen is a mic. எனக்கு உடனே இது மைக்குன்னு தெரியுது. சார், மைக்கை பார்த்ததுலேருந்து அது மைக்குன்னு தெரிஞ்சுக்கிற வரைக்கும் ஃபோட்டோ எடுத்து பிரெயினுக்கு போய் அந்த பிரெயின் சொல்லி இவ்வளோ நடக்கிறதா நீங்கள் கேட்கலாம். The process is so fast that you are not able to see its stages. But every stage is clear. ஏன்னா when you don't know what the mic is, you say, இது எனக்கு என்னன்னு தெரியலையே, எப்போ தெரியலையேன்னு சொல்வேள். When your eye captures that photo and sends it to the brain, opens the archives, அந்த ஆர்கைவ் புக்கில் மைக்கே இல்லை அப்படின்னா, பாஸ்ட் ஹிஸ்ட்ரி ஆஃப் மைக்கே இல்லைன்னா நீங்கள் அடுத்த நிமிஷம் என்ன சொல்வேள், நான் மைக்கை பார்த்ததே இல்லை. கரெக்டா? பட் தெர் ஆர் கேசஸ் வேர் யூ ஆக்சுவலி see a person. ஒரு 20 வருஷம் கழிச்சு என்ன ஞாபகம் இருக்கா, ஞாபகம் இல்லையே, பிகாஸ் தட் பர்சன் दम लगा के है शाह. आपने वो हिंदी मूवी देखा क्या? Who is the heroine there? Bhumi Pednekar. For that movie, she had put in about 35 kgs of weight. But when she appears on a Coffee with Karan show, you can't see, is this that lady? Because your mind has mapped certain features of hers, and when you have to see her back, you can't relate. So either you must have never seen that object, or that object must have changed from what you have seen it before. So all this keeps happening through your external faculties. இந்த வஸ்துதா இது அப்படின்னு எது உங்களுக்கு சொல்றதோ அந்த ஞானத்துக்கு attributive knowledgeனு பேர். It is a knowledge which is stuck to that knowledge of I, but it is still different from that I. In the Mysore Pak, have you tasted the Mysore Pak? Have you made a Mysore Pak? You don't make such blunders, is it? Okay, nevertheless. So when you make a Mysore Pak, எப்படி கடலை மாவை வறுத்து, then you add sugar, and then you add ghee, and then you start stirring it quite well, and at one particular point in time, you have to drop it onto a plate. ஒரு பிளேட்டில் கொதிக்க கொட்டி அது செட் ஆகணும். There is one unique method of making a Mysore Pak. What they do is, after they make the Mysore Pak, they'll sprinkle sugar on the top. Have you seen it? So when you get the Mysore Pak piece, you'll be seeing some sugar pieces at the top. But you know that sugar piece cannot be put on the Mysore Pak 2 hours after the Mysore Pak is made, because that sugar won't stick to that Mysore Pak. The moment you put that Mysore Pak from that stove to the plate, you add sugar, that sugar will get melted along with that Mysore Pak. Correct? இறக்கின உடனேயே போட்டால் அது உருகிடும். 2 மணி நேரம் கழிச்சு போட்டால் ஒட்டாது. இது ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் ஸ்டேஜ் இருக்கு. You have to take it out, wait for a few minutes when the heat would have slightly come down, and then you have to sprinkle sugar. Where the sugar is neither melted, at the same time it should stick to the substratum, which is the Mysore Pak. So that Mysore Pak is the Jivatma with the knowledge I. The sugar that you sprinkle on the top of it is the attributive knowledge. That attributive knowledge sticks to that I, but it can be removed at any point in time. That is why in coma patients, the knowledge of I exists, but the knowledge of us does not exist. Chittappa, நான் யாரும் தெரியுறதா? Because the attributive knowledge is not working. நீ யாருன்னு எனக்கு தெரியலையே. Even when he says, ஒன்ன தெரியலையே, எனக்கு தெரியலையேங்கிறார். So even when he knows that he doesn't remember me, he still remembers him. Correct? So this stage is what is called chitta. And the chittaங்கிற ஃபேஸ்ல இருந்தா sixth sense உருவாகும். This gut feeling may not be the right word. You can take premonition to be a closer word to the sixth sense. Slightly. Somebody else had a question? We'll stop with that question. He has a question and he has a question. Okay, நீங்க கேளுங்க. Then I'll come to you.
Kritaya and Manas, what is the difference?
எது?
Kritaya and Manas.
கிருத்தனா பண்ணதுன்னு அர்த்தம்.
Kritaya.
ஹிருதய.
Kritaya.
ஓஹோ. ஹிருதய. ஹிருதயங்கிறது is heart. Manas is the feeling, that is the thought process that comes out of emotion. அதாவது ஹிருதயா வாச்சா அப்படின்னு ஒன்று இருக்கு. அதாவது வாக்காலியோ மனசாலியோ, அந்த மனசுங்கிறத பொதுவாக we want to relate it to the heart. But essentially manas is not inside the heart. It has to do with the brain only. But we often relate it to the heart because heart is believed to be something which is full of mercy. எங்கள் அம்மாவோட ஹிருதயமெல்லாம் என் மேலே தான் இருக்கு. Which literally doesn't mean her heart is functioning the way it should. If it has got blocks, it will function the way it has got blocks. But what it means is her thought process is always on me. So, ஹிருதயம்ங்கிறத நீங்கள் ஃபிகரேட்டிவாக எடுத்துட்டு you have to take it as mercy which is emotion which is emotional thinking, which is manas inside the brain, not exactly heart. You have a question? Five subtle elements is what is called Akashad Vayuhu, Vayor Agnihi, Agnerapaha, Adbhyav Prithvi. Essentially, this may not have exact connection to our senses. What happens is, each of these elements develops a tanmatram. For example, we believe that sound, Akasham, has the ability of sound. You can perceive sound. So how do you sense sound? Through the ear. So of the Panchabhutas, you have got Akasham, which relates to sound, which relates to ear. From Akasham comes Vayu. Akashad Vayuhu. What is Vayu? You get the tanmatram of feeling. Fan potta அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஃபீலிங் வருது இல்லையா? So how do you feel? How do you feel? Skin. Akashad Vayuhu. Vayor Agnihi. Agni is something that you can see. Dey anga neruppu eriyudura. So you can see. So when you see, you have the eye. Then from Agni comes Apaha, which is water. Water na taste. இவங்க வீட்டில் ஒரே கண்ணத்து ஜல உப்பு கரிக்குது. So you've got the taste that comes with it. How do you sense taste? With tongue. The last of the elements is Prithvi, which is man. What is the distinct feature of man, earth? Which is smell. Gandhavati Prithvi. How do you sense smell? Through the nose. So the five elements, through five attributes, are related to, not directly related, are related to the five Jnanendriyas. His question was, when there is a sixth Indriya that you are describing as the sixth sense, does that have an equivalent sixth bhuta? That is why I said the word sixth sense itself in English is intriguing. It is not what we describe as chitta, or sixth sense is something what people call it as premonition. So it doesn't need to have an exact bhuta opposite it. Why? Because pancha bhutangala you can feel or see and do. Whereas the sixth sense is beyond our perception. If I say that there is a sixth bhuta that is perceivable, then it becomes wrong. So let's keep that bhuta invisible as of now. Somebody, one last question. Yeah, you had a question. We'll go finish with that question. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Sir, actually, I might sound weird, but...
And I'll decide that. You tell me.
Yeah, okay, sir. Why has God created us in first place?
Okay. Repeated question which people ask. Probably even I might have asked this question quite a few times in my short life. The simplest answer which one can give is he is the only one who can answer. Right? But his question was so genuine and from the bottomest of the heart that I am forced to answer. Scriptures say, again I'm saying what scriptures say, don't ask me if I've realized. Scriptures say that God has created creations. Why should we restrict it to only us? There are ants, there are cockroaches, there are mosquitoes, everything in this creation. Creation in this world by the creator who is God is meant for his pastime. பொழுது போல யூ சார் அப்படியா சொல்ல நான் சொல்லலை. கம்பநாடர் tells at the commencement of ராமாயணம், உலகம் யாவையும் தாம் உள ஆக்கலும் நிலை பெறுத்தலும் நீக்கலும் நீங்களா அலகு இலா விளையாட்டு உடையார் அவர். Why has he done all this creation, created Tanjavur, created SASTRA campus, created students, created one speaker like me who's exceeding time by 5 minutes? Why? Why has he done? Because he had leisure, pastime. பொழுது போல லோகத்து லீலா கைவல்யம் அப்படின்னு சாஸ்திரமே சொல்றது. பொழுது போலியா நான் ஒரு பாட்டு, நான் ஒரு விளையாட்டு பொம்மையா. Even Shakespeare tells all the world's a stage. எல்லாம் நம்மள ஒரு கிரியேஷன், ஒரு விளையாட்டுக்காக பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கார். So in this விளையாட்டு he creates rivalry between us. You see, when two dogs fight, the child will keep clapping. நன்னா சண்டை போடுறது அந்த மாதிரி பாவம் பண்ணி பார்த்துக்கிறாரு. பார்த்தியா நன்னா சண்டை போட்டுக்கிட்டோம், அப்போ நம்ம கிட்ட வரட்டும். So it's all meant for a game is what Shastram tells. Sir, he has taken this as a serious project ன்னு நம்ம வச்சுக்கூடாது. ஏன்னா serious project ன்னு வச்சுட்டா then we have to assume what is the fruit of our existence. What is the fruit of our existence? Zero. நம்மளை வச்சு அவர் ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்ட் உருப்படியாக பண்ணணும்னு ஆரம்பித்தா ஃபெயிலியரில் கொண்டு முடிஞ்சிடும். விளையாட்டுக்காக வச்சாதான் ஏதோ ஓடும். இப்போ நம்ம ஃபெயிலியர் ஆகிட்டோன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன், ஹிஸ் ஒய்ஃப் லக்ஷ்மி வில் ஆஸ்க், வை ஹவ் யூ கிரியேட்டட்? சி ஐ வாண்டட் டு ஜஸ்ட் ட்ரை அண்ட் டெஸ்ட் இட், சி இட் ஹஸ் ஃபெயில்டு அப்படின்னு நம்மளை பார்த்து சொல்லிடலாம். சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல்லாக வருவோன்னு நினச்சி பண்ணியிருந்தாருன்னா இட் இஸ் அ வேஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ரிசோர்ஸஸ், ஹிஸ் டைம் அண்ட் அவர் டைம். ஸோ ஹி ஹஸ் டன் இட் ஃபார் ஹிஸ் ப்ளெஷர் அப்படின்னு ஸ்கிரிப்சர்ஸ் சே. பட் most of you may not be convinced of it. The beauty is there are certain things that should never be understandable and convincible. See, you should live life as an open book. As we come across experiences, troubles, traumas in our life, we will start getting the essence of what we have asked questions. You should let life answer your own questions. When you let it answer, அதுவே வேணுங்கிற சமயத்தில் it will give you answers. The moment we want to ask all our questions at one go, we may get answers, but you will never find them convincing. So you should just leave it. Questions can be asked, wait for the answers, they can come in any form. Nobody has to come and tell you, that day you remember, February 23rd at about 12 o'clock you had a question. Today I am giving that answer. Nu yarum solla maata. As you walk across the street, you will hear two people talk. Ordinary two people. When they talk, that answer that you had wanted will just come in their conversation. It may happen in your life. Just wait. விளையாட்டு அப்படின்னா scriptures state. So he has created all the Humpty Dumptys only for play. Let us wait when that answer will come. Okay? I think it's high time that I wrap up my lecture. With my sixth sense, I can vouch that I will be able to catch my afternoon flight if I leave on time. Thank you.